Good evening, everyone. Call this meeting of the Lake Mills City Council to order for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Lisa, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Curler.
Here.
Ms. Schmager.
Here.
Ms. Quidnow.
Here.
Mr. Coots.
Here.
Mr. Waters.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If there's no objection, I would like to jump to item 7 on our agenda, which is a fire chief presentation of Lifesaver Recognition Award. Chief Russ, would you like to step forward?
Thank you, everybody, for allowing us the time to identify and acknowledge some spectacular things that have happened in our community. This is Dr. McNeil. Dr. McNeil is our medical director for Lake Mills Fire Department. He is the medical director over at Fort Healthcare. So I'll give him a second here to speak, but just to give everybody an understanding of why we're here. So again, thank you for allowing me the time here at City Council tonight. My presentation tonight goes back to May 20th of this year. Around 10:45 a.m., just a normal day for many of us folks. For some, a day that would be changed forever. There's a young man sitting in the back of the room tonight by the name of Terry Phelps. He was in the process of on his way heading up north to do a few things up there to, recreate and things like that. However, prior to heading on the highway, he decided, I want to grab a bite from Quick Trip. So Terry goes and pulls on in there. And while he's standing in line, Terry began to suffer a cardiac event. A bystander noticed Terry becoming a little bit weak, wobbly, and unstable, and he assisted him to the ground. Quickly, a call was placed into 911 Jefferson County Dispatch at around 10:47. Lake Mills Fire and Police were dispatched for a male patient that was believed to be pulseless and not breathing, and no CPR was currently being done at that time. Just previous to that, the fire department was dispatched to another location that morning for a fire alarm and a few things, and Captain Theater happened to be on his way back to meet with them, consult with them, and find out why the alarm actually didn't trigger to 911. So Captain Theater was in one of the vehicles and was heading north on Main Street, and he was at approximately Subway when the call came in. And you can see sometimes things are just in place at the right time. I myself was in a department head meeting and had to leave, so I left from here. Lake Mills PD also responded to this call from their various locations. Our paid-on-call members that are the real meat and potatoes behind our department were doing their daily lives. Some were at work, some were at home, some out in the community doing the things that they do around that time of the morning. Captain Theater immediately diverted to the incident from his travels. I left the department head meeting, and our POC members responded into the station. That would have been about the tone that we got. That was not on cue, but it worked. At 10:52, Captain Theater was at the side of Mr. Phelps. He immediately requested a paramedic intercept from the city of Jefferson, and that's why you see the other white shirt in here tonight. That paramedic intercept began rolling our direction from Jefferson, as they are the paramedics that assist us when advanced cardiac life measures are needed. He started off with CPR only. Within seconds, I, along with 2 other LMPD officers, arrived on scene. The LMPD officers assisted us at Quick Trip because business continued as Mr. Phelps lied on the ground. They helped us with getting privacy for Mr. Phelps as we began to more evasively work Mr. Phelps It was less than 5 minutes, the patient becoming unconscious, and that a life-saving shock from an AED was first delivered. Within a few additional minutes, our POC members arrived, and the LMFD ambulance and engine. They took their place in the chain of survival. Upon the arrival of the intercept medic, things were in place so that the medic could immediately begin their life-saving cardiac medications and their advanced airways. CPR is a skill that is trained on frequently. We train on it very frequent in the hopes that we never have to use it. The American heart statistics show that 350,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests occur annually, with 90% of them resulting in death and less than 10% resulting in survivability. This equates to roughly 1,000 cardiac arrests every day that EMS is summoned to. Sadly, the 90%, those fatal, that suffer cardiac arrest, don't get to be at a presentation that we are having tonight. Tonight, I want to honor Terry Phelps. He was not the 90%. He was the 6% or less of cardiac arrest patients that survived to hospital discharge. So tonight, I'd like to have Terry come on up.
First of all, I want to thank you guys. You're quick, you're efficient. I don't remember a thing about it. Talking to my cardiologist, he said for what I had, only 1 in 13 survived. That's all. No, from these guys. I thank you guys. You're very lucky to be along.
A little history on Terry. Terry was a member of the Whitewater Fire Department, if I am not mistaken, for many years. A long time. And I'm sure he'd been on the other side of that CPR. I'd also like to turn it over to Dr. McNeil if he could give a few words.
Well, there's nothing that I can say to follow up on Terry. That's an amazing story. So, you know, we talk about statistics in medicine, and I could nerd out all night long on this stuff. Really, I could. I started as a firefighter paramedic, and that has just kind of stayed with me. Probably my entire career from the time I'm 18 to now, which is 38 years now, probably had 5 to 10 good saves like this. It is something so rare. We train for it all the time. And what you see on TV is not true. We don't do CPR and people just wake up and go home off the Baywatch set, right? It's been days, weeks sometimes in the ICU, and sometimes we don't know what their neurofunction is, or if they're going to come back to their family the same person that they were that day when they left home. The biggest thing is CPR and AED. So from a community perspective, did everybody see the AED when they walked in here tonight? Okay. If you don't know how to use it, you should Google it or take a CPR class, because every minute that goes by when you're in cardiac arrest, you lose 10% survivability. So if it takes 10 minutes for us to get there, it's close to 100% fatal. And nothing I do in the hospital, the cath lab, the intensive care unit is going to resolve that situation if the patient doesn't get CPR and the AED shock right away. So that's my message, and I'm so proud of the men and women that I just took over as their medical director a few months ago, but they're top notch, and I appreciate the time I get to spend with them. Thank you.
So cardiac saves in the fire and EMS service are served by tokens, and tonight I'd like to call each one of our members up. Kyle Zabel. Andrew Brinkman. Roxanne Schneider. Now this one is going to ring a little bit different. Nicholas Klotz. Nicholas is the grandson of Terry.
That's cool.
Jordan Wiedig. Dave Sobek. Adam Zimmerman. Joel Theater. and Joe Middlestein. Joe is the paramedic that arrived from Jefferson. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Russ. Thank you to all our dedicated firefighters and EMS. And Terry, congratulations on continuing your life and being with us this evening to be honored and recognized. Thank you all for your service to our community. We're passing around the Kleenex up here, so it's very moving. It's very, it's quite an honor to have people of this caliber serving our community. Okay. So now we'll go back to our regular agenda. The next item is correction and acceptance of the City Council meeting minutes from our last meeting from August 19th. Are there any corrections or comments? Mary?
I would like to make one correction in the correspondence and constituent context paragraph. Barry Luce is actually Barry Lutz, BARRYLUCE. So I'd like to enter that correction.
Thank
Same
you.
one I had.
Okay. Greg cut that as well. Any other corrections to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we will accept those into the record with that one correction, then hopefully Lisa got that. Our next agenda item is board and committee reports, and we have some plan commission minutes, library board, police and fire commissions, and I think this is our annual Senior Bingo Advisory Board minutes. So are there any comments or questions on those minutes? Okay, seeing none, we will accept those into our public record then. Next agenda item is correspondence and constituent contacts. Greg Coots, would you like to start us off this evening?
Multiple emails on Sandy Beach, some for, some against redevelopment. Received multiple emails on the Milton Street speed reduction and possible Catlin Drive study. I had a couple of in-person contacts related to Sandy Beach as well. I believe that's all of them.
Okay, sounds good. Mary?
I had those, and I also had a call about the yard waste and a possible consideration of town access. Sandy Beach, specifically Sandy Beach parking lot, a tax assessment question, and a front yard flea market inquiry.
Great, thank you. Greg?
The only thing further I had was concerns about the what was all called the Bayberry Inn, just the process that is going through at this point.
Thank you. Michelle?
The only thing I have is to add is the Quick Trip mowing email that we received.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, I had that one as well. The city staff cleaning up the entryway to the community at Highway V and 89, so thank you for doing that. Let me just see if I have anything else. Oh, I had one email, I had quite a few, as others did, on regarding Sandy Beach Mobile Home Community. One email from a potential buyer in Sandy Beach, which consulting with staff, that's not something we can really advise people on property purchases, but I did receive one inquiry about that. And then I was copied on an email from Legendary Lake Mills with their annual downtown impact report that they get from the state. So if people are interested, I'm sure Drake or Raina can forward that. Okay. Anything else? All right, I think that's our correspondence and constituent context. So we already did number 7, so we're on to public comment. So individuals who have registered to speak are invited to address the council at this time. Please state your name and address when you are called to make your comments. No action will be taken for items that are not listed on the agenda. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. So I've got the list of everybody that has signed up, and they're on several different topics that are on tonight's agenda. So I'll try to kind of group them. First we have a few folks who want to speak regarding the future land use at the map change, the Mangan property that's on the agenda. So first, could we have Kim Gee, I think it is? Is that right? And then we'll have Daniel Bielik, Jay Ludeman, and Jean Burrow. So I think you are all speaking on that. And I'm going to try to do this 3-minute timer here, so.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Kim G. I represent my husband as well. We live at W7144 County Road V, and the Magnan property, we are literally surrounded on 3 sides by that. Okay. So I want to start by talking about an article I found in the 2022 Lake Mills Leader, and I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says, Dustin Wolf of Mead and Hunt, the firm the city has hired to create the comprehensive plan and survey. The comprehensive plan is the land use, future land use maps, where and what type of growth the city wishes to see here in Lake Mills. And Wolf said part of the residential future land use development are planned neighborhoods, which he said was something instrumental in the previous comprehensive plan. He explained these developments have a mix of housing ranging from multi- and 2-family buildings to single-family homes. It goes back to not having every development be an island. It's so you can live in an area that has been planned as such to have a variety of housing types for your needs at different points in your life. So you don't have to crisscross the community to meet your housing needs that you have. For example, someone may look to live in an apartment during their early adulthood and then move into a single-family residence as they get older. They may want to downsize into a smaller home or even a condo, townhouse. With a planned neighborhood, the person could remain in that neighborhood the entire time because various housing options exist in that development. That is not what is planned right now for this new development. It is all multifamily, no single family. To me, family single housing has always been a part of the plan from 2022. My question is, if an agreement is made between Mr. Mangan, my neighbors, and the city, and he uses the property for his needs and fills it with multi-use until there's just a little bit left for single-family use, if that's what the plan is, and then he sells that for single-family use because he doesn't build single-family. Would this change the agreement that we have come to agree on, whatever that plan is for that land? I'm concerned about that happening because, again, he doesn't build single-family homes. We would like to see a buffer of single-family homes, which has always been, like I said, in the plan since 2022. The residents that I'm speaking for have been living in their homes 23 years for us and 50 for the others. So I'm asking that you please represent us. You please listen to our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. So next, if we can have Daniel. So I have to reset the time on this. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. So my name is Daniel Bielich, and I live at W7148 County Road V. So 2 weeks ago, I think I gave most of my comments and concerns through this all. I just want to point out, I guess, 2 things. Last time, the developer had mentioned the affordability of these homes versus apartments and gave a number. And to kind of, I think maybe it was expected or understood that it was a very high number, reverse engineering the value for a $500,000 home, 10% down, and having a $4,000 a month mortgage would imply that you had a 9% interest rate, and current standard is 6.5. So that was a little bit over, and I would just want to point out then, these apartments that are behind our property and that would be going up are the most luxury apartments in Lake Mills. So my expectation then, whatever is built would be comparable to said integration of these apartment complexes. So I wouldn't wager they would be in the affordable region of what multifamily maybe you're expecting. As well, there was a comment that looking in the area, there's already multiple multifamily that exists there, so let's keep the theme. But I would argue you would want to disperse that versus congregate them all to one single area. Other than that, I would like to end with a plea. Regardless of whatever is it put here, the road, County Road V, Tyranena Boulevard, adding an influx of population, that road can be very busy already. In the morning and evening rush hours, the stop sign between County Road V, between that and County Road A, can have 15 to 20 cars. So a reevaluation of this speed limit, the stop sign there, a crosswalk from the gravel road to the park across the street, things like that I think need to be considered. So, but other than that, thank you.
Thank you. So we have Jean Burrow and Jay Liederman, I think have also registered.
Jay Ludeman, W7176, County Highway V. This parcel that we are talking about was originally designated R1 for single families living in single buildings. Owners of the property, owners of properties maintain their property, improve their property, and generally take care of it. This change of zoning will allow it to be rental properties housing multiple households in one building. These people will be tenants, owning nothing, maintaining nothing, and improving nothing. The tenements that they will be living in will be owned by an out-of-town owner. He has shown through his many attempts to have these zonings changed on his other property as well, that he will not do anything but resist any zonings or restrictions placed upon what he wants to do, and will just come back and again attempt to have things changed, hoping he gets a weak city council that will approve him. So if you vote in favor of rezoning this property, you will be voting for tenements to be built in the city of Lake Mills by a potentially absentee landlord. We all know how well that works out. I strongly urge you to not change this zoning at this time. You will have this come in front of you many more times because of who owns it. I again, encourage you to not be the weak city council that backs down and approves what his demands are. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Jean Burrow. Oops.
Gene Burrell, W7162, County V. My opinion is leave it as R1 and so forth. What you have there now that is already completed, all it is a asphalt parking lot with no streets, no sidewalks. It's all private driveways and everything like that. And behind us will be the same thing. And that way, all respect. The thing is, it's all going to be, he wants it all to be private. So is this going to be patrolled by your local police and so forth, or the county, or is that, or aren't they subject to that because it's all private property and so forth? And that way all. And who are they going to be renting to? You know, I've heard comments, well, Madison drug dealers are going to come in here because it's all going to be, you know, this rental property and stuff like that. How about immigrants? Are they going to rent to immigrants or stuff like that. It's all things that have to be considered when changing this around, approving for their usage and everything. There's other issues that we do. If you do go with, say, duplexes or fourplex behind us, they mentioned that they wanted to have a berm between our property and their property to give some, divide the property so it ain't right next to ours. So that's what would have to be and so forth. So I suggest leave it as R1 and get all residential homes in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have one person registered to speak on Milton Street. That's J.B. Clark. And then we'll be moving on to the trailer park comments. The first one there will be Matt Blessing. So Matt, you can get ready.
Hello, J.B. Clark of 122 Milton Street. I'm here tonight to advocate specifically for the disabled residents on Milton Street. We've already talked about how nearly 9 out of 10 households on Milton Street include children under 12 and seniors 65 and over. That's already a high ratio, but age vulnerability isn't the only concern. 44% of these households on Milton Street include a child or a senior with a disability that places them at even greater risk. Among the children, we have 1 with a sensory processing disorder, 1 with autism, and 2 with ADHD. Among the seniors, we have 1 with an unstable knee replacement, 1 with severe hearing impairment, 1 with multiple metal plates in her ankle, and 1 who is legally blind. To put that in perspective, nationally, about 3% of children have autism. On Milton Street, it's 5%. About 9% of children have ADHD. On our street, it's 10%. Nationally, 1 in 5 seniors have a mobility disability. It's 1 in 5 on our street, too. And while less than 1% of seniors nationwide are legally blind, and about 4% have severe hearing loss, on Milton Street, it's 9% for each. Not only do we have a far greater percentage of vulnerable residents than other streets in the city, such as Mulberry Street, but our residents are disproportionately living with disabilities that further increase the dangers of unsafe driving patterns. Given these risks, we are asking the City Council to, at minimum, adopt 2 complementary measures: lower the speed limit to 15 miles per hour and redirect traffic from Catlin Drive so that it no longer accelerates across Main onto Milton. We still feel strongly that speed humps would be the most effective measure to protect our vulnerable residents. But these 2 simple measures alone would go a long way towards protecting our children and seniors, especially those with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, JB. Okay, now we have quite a few people signed up to talk about Sandy Beach Park. So first will be Matt Blessing, and then next is Tracy Young.
Good evening. My name is Matt Blessing. I live at 520 Mulberry Street, and I'm speaking in regards to the proposed infrastructure project at the B level of the Sandy Beach project. The Common Council, in my opinion, made a very astute decision in 1979 when they purchased this piece of land that became Rotary Park, and project became, the trailer court became part of the city. At that time in 1979, the city's population was just over 3,600 residents. It's increased 75% since that purchase. The public needs green space. We need green space by the lake, and we need green space that's accessible to the general public. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to expand lands that are adjacent to an existing public park. We have many reports in recent years from the school board and the school administration that Lake Mills' population along the I-94 corridor will continue to expand. So again, I think this is a wonderful opportunity to expand an existing public park. And I do not support spending public dollars on a leasing program that will only, if plans are carried through, it's my understanding from last week's paper that the number of lots will have to be decreased from 38 to 17. So I don't support that level of a generational infrastructure project for 17 families on public lands. Thank you.
Thank you. So Tracy Young is next, and then Tony Chiodini.
Hello, my name is Tracy Young. I live at 251 Sandy Beach Road. I've been a resident of Lake Mills for 9 years. At the last meeting, you received 30-plus signatures from local business that want the Sandy Beach Trailer Park to remain fully intact and a part of this community. That is most of your retailers, and I believe it is because we bring in significant amounts of revenue to their establishments, and we are good neighbors. The trailer park was established in the 1950s and then purchased by the city in the late 70s as a trailer park. I don't know what has happened in our 45-year-plus positive history with the city for this council to decide that you don't want lifelong residents to remain a part of your community, but it does sting that this might be the case. I personally purchased here for my retirement thinking I would be a part of this community for the rest of my life. There is talk of a different direction, but there are no approved plans that only the possible eviction of the trailer park, in part or in whole. Eliminating B-level is 40% of the 94 trailers in the park. Just that will have a very large impact on the local community/economy. That is also a loss for the owners of those trailers, $500,000 plus. As we all know, moving causes damage, and sometimes it is not repairable. In a world full of Instacart and online shopping, imagine losing some or all of your local retailers. Sandbar was demolished with the intention of replacing it and is still an empty lot. As I understand it now, there are no plans to bring a restaurant back, only food trucks, and they are not all that reliable. Stop down to the beach some weekend and take a look for yourself. Century closed a few years back. Imagine if the Lake Mills Market closed as well. That would be a major loss to the residents of this city. Talk to the retailers and ask them when their profit curves go up and when they go down. I can guess it's April and October. That's when the trailer park opens and when it closes. Sandy Beach Trailer Park injects approximately $300,000 a year directly into the city's annual budget. Lot rents, boat parking, and all the different fees that we pay. The trailer park residents also bring in another approximate $700,000 directly to local retailers. We shop in the stores, we eat at the restaurants, we bowl, we use fuel in our boats and cars, we golf, we support the community and Lake Mills retailers. At the last meeting, you talked about a $20,000 budget increase for next year, and that's way below average. Why would you want to remove such a large source of revenue for the city? I have heard mention of an RV park, and I urge you to do your homework there. I know a few park owners, and this is a 24/7 business. People complain about too much shade or not enough shade, too much water pressure, not enough water pressure,
See,
etc.
that's your time, please. Can you please wrap it up? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We have speakers expressing all different opinions, and we respect them all, so I'm going to ask that we hold applause, please, this evening. So next is Tony Chiodini, and then after that, Elaine Thousand.
Hi, my name is Tony Chiodini. I live at 251 Hilltop Terrace. Over the past few weeks and months, you've heard all the concerns, been presented with petitions from the local businesses, and the personal stories we've shared about Sandy Beach Trailer Park community. Yes, we are a community. We are fifth and sixth generations down to newcomers in the park. Our loved ones have died in the park, been married in the park, and we have all grown together in the park. We are a community of people from different states and different backgrounds. The one thing we all have in common is our love for our park community and the city of Lake Mills. We have talked to more than a few professionals from both our hometowns, business associates, and your local providers. All agree that the B-level work can be accomplished without moving the trailers. We feel that you are either receiving incorrect information or are lacking transparency with the voters of Lake Mills. I'm not sure how your conscience will allow you to uproot generations of residents who have certainly made an impact on the city of Lake Mills over the years. One's conscience should inspire your inner sensation of what is right and what is wrong, and to provide you with the wisdom to see what is truly the right decision. Why do we have to move so quickly? Why can't we just take a step back and vote tonight to delay the decision? This could be, we can determine this could be a win-win proposition, protecting the trailers and families, maintaining the city revenue stream that is produced, and ultimately fixing the problems. The decision you make tonight is a decision of morality. It certainly will show your moral capacity as a leader. Will you show these families empathy, or will you show these families disdain? Will you have the moral capacity to do what is right? I'm not sure how any one of you will be able to go home and sleep tonight with a vote that does not protect the families of Lake Mills Trailer Park community. Please remember, the choice you make makes you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also would like to present 76 signatures.
You can hand it to the city manager and he'll pass it out to us. Thank you. Okay, next speaker is Elaine Thousand and then Jim Crawford.
Hi, my name is Elaine Thousand, and I live at 830 Ray Street. I want to express my appreciation to both the council and city employees for working to put together the numbers that help with the decision-making for something like this. It's my understanding that the investment that the city is going to be making into level B would take 24 years to have a return. And I'm assuming that that investment money is going to be taxpayer dollars, that the citizens of Lake Mills are going to be supporting the trailer park. And I think that's a questionable decision for city taxpayers to be supporting this trailer park, so I'd want to express my opinion in that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jim Crawford and then Jim Noga will be next.
Good evening. Pardon me for bringing my phone up here. It's the only thing I got messages on. My name is Jim Crawford. I'm in Unit 11, or 18B. I've got 30 years of real estate experience. Most of that is with the REO department at Chase Bank and Bank One. Our REO department, which is real estate owned, was both the manufactured homes, residential properties, single family, multifamily homes. So I have a various background in this. Some of the questions I've got is, why are we disrupting the lives of everybody in the trailer park? That affects approximately 300 people. Maybe there's only 38 properties, but each one has families. I've heard people state that they are the third and fourth generation that's been at that trailer park. I'm new to it. We just got our trailer in March of this year. We weren't stopped. We weren't told we weren't supposed to do it, but we have it. The little investigation that I've done is the ID numbers on most of the trailers are missing. Most of the trailers can't be moved to another site because of the age of the trailers. When you start to move the trailers, they're going to fall apart, which brings up the biggest problem is the older the mobile homes are, chances are they have asbestos in them. They have lead pipes. So moving them is not going to be a good way to do it. Most likely, they're going to have to be dismantled in place and hauled off in parts after the remediations are done. And I don't know if the city looked into the cost of remediation. But asbestos is a huge one. I checked my trailer and I've checked a couple others, and there's asbestos in them. It's there, it's intact. It doesn't mean it needs to be changed right now.
That's your time, please, Jim.
What was that?
Can you wrap it up? That's your time. Time is up.
Wrapping it up, there's only, there's 30 units and just 300 people. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Noga, and then, let's see, Francesca Rothbun, I think it is, if I'm reading that right.
Hello, I'm Jim Noga, 15A Hilltop. I'm also the president of the Homeowners Association. And I will not necessarily appeal to your passions because I'm allowing my membership to do that. I'm appealing to your business sense. Since 1978, when you purchased this property for $300,000 from Marveling, you've collected over $6.3 million. And by your own admission, you've put very little back into it. We've offered to purchase the property from you, just the trailer park property, not the beach, not Rotary Park. You've flatly rejected that. We've also offered to, on our own accord, make the improvements necessary to the B level. Again, we've not heard back from you. We've had our own people look at the possibility of doing boring. We are more than willing to put the money into it through special assessments and work with you for a long-term lease. We would gladly do that. Again, you have put $300,000 to purchase this property. You've collected more than $6.3 million over the years, past 48 years. We are willing to work with you. Considering you've collected so much money and not put anything back into it, it's almost shameful. Not necessarily you, but past city councils, past city management, really should have been looking at this revenue-producing property and managed it much better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. So we have Francesca Rathbun and then Ann Noga.
Hi, my name is Frankie Rathbun. I live at 302 Rosewood Avenue in Brookstone. I'm here today to speak to the City Council about the vote on Sandy Beach Trailer Park. As a resident of Lake Mills and a family member of someone who resides in the park, I want to stress to the council that the vote regarding Level B is not only affecting families who live in Level B. The unknown of this vote has caused the families in the middle and top levels to have a lot of fear about the future of their trailers as well. My parents, who provide me with childcare all summer and have spent over $50,000 on their trailer in order to spend their summers with family enjoying the city of Lake Mills, are living with the anxiety of potentially losing their retirement investment. If the council votes to decommission Level B, I strongly believe it will send a signal to the remaining levels of the park, and it will be very hard for them to sell their trailer and recoup their investment. I hope the City Council takes things like this into consideration, along with the petition signed by over 25 Lake Mills businesses regarding the loss of revenue if the trailers and their residents have to leave. It is my understanding that the payback schedule for restoring Level B only included increased rent for the returning 17 trailers. I believe there are several strategies, some formally discussed and others yet to be explored, that could accelerate the payback schedule and enhance revenue from existing spaces. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. So we have Ann Noga and then Nancy Gant will be next.
Thank you. My name is Ann Noga, and my family has had a home at 15A Hilltop for over 50 years. The residents of Sandy Beach, many of whom I have known for decades, are my family. We love Lake Mills, we love our homes, and we love Sandy Beach and our family there. Please take into consideration that your vote tonight could destroy our wonderful community and tear our Sandy Beach family apart.
Thank you, Ann. So Nancy Gant and then Joy Heaslip and then Mike Heaslip.
My name is Nancy Gant. My address is 855 East Lake Street. I also have a mobile home at Sandy Beach. As residents of Sandy Beach, we know that there are issues with the water and sewer. However, in July, the main that comes into the Lakeland mobile home park burst, and it just happened to be underneath my mobile home, and it was repaired without removing it. When I spoke with the owner and I explained to him what was going on in Sandy Beach, he said there's several options that can be done. One, capping off the existing water and sewer lines and putting all new lines to run under the street and have junction points to run lines to each home, and even possibly having the residents pay a special assessment for the hookup to the main line. With this type of technology, why pull the homes out and rip people's lives apart? We have been told the council considers us trash. Well, far from that, we are a mix of doctors, lawyers, CFOs, business owners, and business professionals that choose this life because it's been handed down to us from our past generations. Our love for the city of Lake Mills and our Lake family that means everything to us. My father and I started building our screen porch years ago. Within 2 hours, we had 10 other people come with tools to offer help without us asking, and we had it built in a day. I can ask any one of these people in our park for help, and they would gladly give it, as would I. There are actually 4 of us that have permanent homes in Lake Mills, but want to keep our homes at Sandy Beach for the summer because of the people there. We are no different than any other snowbirds that live in Lake Mills and go south for the winter. We also are no trouble. We've never had to call the police for anything. The only time we see them when they randomly drive through the park. As a permanent resident of Lake Mills, it doesn't make sense that the council would want to lose any income at all, that you would want to take money away from businesses that rely on this income they get for 6 months out of the year. These are not just vacation homes. It's a place where we grew up, our children, and now our grandchildren as well, and where lifelong friendships have been made. So I ask, what is the real reason you want us out? With 30 to 60 years of loyalty to the city of Lake Mills, at the very least, we deserve to know the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. So Joy Heaslip and then Mike Heaslip.
Good evening. My name is Joy Heaslip, and I have a summer home at 37B Paradise Drive. My husband and I have been here going on 20 years and had expectations that this would be our retirement home. So when you talk about moving trailers, you're not just moving trailers, you're dealing with our livelihoods. These are our family. Just think of how you would feel if someone forced you out of your vacation or retirement home, whether it was seasonal or not. You have saddened and stressed out many of us here since this has been a deciding factor. Is there something you have against a trailer park or us people? As you have heard, we don't cause any trouble. Many of us have invested in our trailers. We make them our home. We maintain our lawns. We landscape them. We make everything look beautiful. It's not trashy. Have you ever been down there and looked at our homes? What does the city do for us? Not much. Like they said, the money you purchased for and money that we have brought in over the years, the city has not put much back into it. We understand that the sewer and the water lines need to be upgraded or repaired. We get that. But there are many knowledgeable people in our trailer park that have ideas about this and that can fix it without having to move our trailers. Why don't you work with us? Why can't you meet with us people? Let's work together. That will come up with a solution, that works for all of us. We don't want to leave our homes. We've invested too much money, and we'll take a very big hit if you ask us to leave. What company are you guys working with in regards to the sewer and water lines? Is that the only solution that they have, is to move our trailers? I beg to differ on that. I ask you again to hear our ideas and thoughts. Can't we work together? Isn't the city council supposed to work for the people? We are part of that people. The city people, you've seen the petitions. Please listen to them. They want us here. Like we said, we bring in revenue. Just have one more thing to say. Please don't make a mistake like you did on the restaurant. Don't let this be another one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. So next is Mike. Next is Mike Heaslip, and then Chris Rush.
I passed out a sheet to all of you with some figures on it earlier. My name is Mike Heaslip. I'm at 37B. And the rental income for 2025 is the total park, just the rent was $274,212. Then we have an additional parking fee tax, which that's determined by the value of the trailer. Mine was $303.66 tax. Since it'd be varied, I just use that. That's another $28,544. Total income for the city is $302,756 for the year, without you doing a thing. Now, Level B's contribution was $100,442 of that. Now, on your proposed parking, you're looking at 198 parking spots, and you want city residents free parking. So let's say just 1/3, the city takes up 1/3 of those spots. Okay, you only have 30 days of overcrowding at that parking lot. I live right there, I see it. That's every weekend for 3 months, and Memorial Day, Labor Day, and 4th of July. Okay, so if you had that full occupancy, weather permitting, that would generate at $20 a day, approximately $2,640 a day for $79,200 a year, way under what we contribute. If you went down to $15 a day for those 132 days, you're looking at $1,980 a day with 30 days of $59,400. Yes, you're going to get a few more cars during the week, but they're not many. Now, as to the bond, you project the 20 years of $2,466,645. Okay, if we were to divide that by our trailers, all the trailers that are still there, that would come out to a rental increase of about $1,200 for each trailer. If you go and reduce the number of trailers on Level B from the 36 that are there to 17, then that would have to increase with all the upper levels and everything, increase us up to about $1,400. And we're not, that's not your money. I mean, we're paying for it. Yes, we're asking your blessing for a loan for 20 years, but we're paying the interest and everything else. And you have two direct bore companies in the city of Lake Mills that are renowned in the state of Wisconsin for their work. Why not give them a chance to see what their opinion is on that?
Please wrap it up, Mike. Your time is up.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Who did I say? Chris Rush is next, and then Ron Tiberio.
Hi, my name is Chris Rush, and I'm from 32B at Sandy Beach, and I would like to thank Eric and Lisa for responding to my email that I sent back on June 22nd. I truly appreciate it. I've been coming to Lake Mills since my parents purchased our family trailer in 1973, which was 52 years ago. After my mom passed away in 2014, I had the opportunity to purchase my childhood trailer. I was welcomed by my Lake family with open arms with gifts to fill my patio and my trailer. You all know who you are. Over the years, my family has brought in 6 different families that all still reside at Sandy Beach. My family has a home in Cape Coral, Florida, and our retirement plan was to spend our summers here in Lake Mills and our winters in Florida. Like several of the other Sandy Beach residents already do. There were different discussions about what you were going to do, and one of them was an RV park. An RV park may seem like a great option, but have you done the research on this yet? I have some dear friends back home in Illinois that own the Black Hawk Valley Campground in Rockford, Illinois, which they sold 2 years ago due to the headaches involved with the weekend and short-term campers. They had 100 seasonal sites, which they had no issues with, and they had 50 non-seasonal sites. The only problems they had were with the daily and weekend sites, as in calling the cops for noise issues, alcohol, and some drug issues. They're all about the weekend party. Is that what you really want for Lake Mills? Over the years, have we caused any of these issues? No. We've done nothing but support and respect the beautiful Lake Mills community. I finally became a nana to my 2-year-old grandson. And knowing that 4 generations are coming to an end for my family, how can you all make this decision to decommission B-level without a plan in place? It literally breaks my heart into a million pieces. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I truly hope you take some time to think about this before you make a final decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Tiberio is next, and then Ruth Crawford after that.
Hi, my name is Ron Tiberio. I live in 31P, Shady Pines. I am not a lifelong resident here.
Your mic is not on. Push the button.
I'm not a lifelong resident here. I've only been here 4 years. We are glad to be here. My issue is that, same as others, I had more planned to speak, but people have talked about the numbers, people have talked about the emotional issues, plans. I agree with all of those in favor of not decommissioning Level B, so I'm not going to go into that detail of my speech. One thing that is I would like to bring up again is that the anxiety and the unknown factor for all of the levels, and just for transparency, I am not in Level B, but as goes to Level B goes the rest of the trailer park, goes the way we all feel, because we are part of the community. And I would just ask that there be transparent and consistent communication for everybody that you speak to, not only just the people who live in the mobile home community, prospective buyers, people in the community that are full-time residents. We all deserve the truth. We deserve transparency, and I don't feel like we're always getting it. Lastly, I would just like to say thank you for allowing me to speak, and I hope that when you make your decision, I know it's not an easy decision, that leadership is difficult sometimes, but you really you were all on this bench to make the right decision for the people of this city. And just remember, we are people of this city, and I hope that you take every option available when you decide on what you're going to do next. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. So Ruth Crawford is next, and then so Jack Schaefer, I think it says.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Crawford, Paradise Drive, 18B. I'm new to the community. I started looking last fall for a place for us to spend our summers, and I did a lot of research at places close to home and farther away from home, and stumbled upon your quaint town. And I was so excited because it's like going back in time, and everyone is so friendly, and it's just such a wonderful place. We're so excited to be here. I hate to lose my investment, and I'm hoping that we can continue to come here. And please consider all the other points that people have made about other changes that, other things that would work here. A parking lot is not going to bring any revenue in, so I don't know, and why have a parking lot that close to the lake? But anyway, I'm hoping that you give it a lot of decision, maybe postpone and think about it some more. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ruth. So Jack Schaefer is next, and then Doug Applequist, and then I think that's the end of the list.
My name is Jack Schaefer. I'm at 1349 Topol Street, Topol number 1. I don't have anything on the line in this discussion. I've been here 30 years. These people are my friends. That's why I'm here. I have some questions. I came to Lake Mills because of a friendship with a gentleman named Hal Lee, who I believe once chaired this board. And one of his proudest achievements was the purchase of Sandy Beach and the trailers. And I will tell you, he was very proud of the beach. He always kind of considered the trailers as a revenue source, which I see is traditional. But I am bothered. Somebody named Randall something or other from the city sends me these nice notices every time there's a water break. And I don't save them all, but just looking through, I've got 20 or 30 there. Your city has reached a point in age, and I think you are aware of it, where you got problems. In my earlier life, I spent most of it sitting on the other side of that desk, one capacity or another. And I've seen this happen in towns when they get to a certain age, everything starts going to blazes. Generally about that time, they do one of two things. Well, they do both, probably. They have a referendum to find the money, and then they start pounding on the door of the state government for help. I had my door pounded a lot, and I helped them every time I could. I do not understand the board's summary rejection of what I'm told is a very reasonable offer from a reputable group. $3.5 million? You didn't even have a roll call? That's not democracy. You owe everybody here a roll call. We need to know where you are. If you go to a referendum and you reject this, you have to explain to the voters of Lake Mills, and by the way, we're one big tax increase in Illinois from me being one, that you rejected $3.5 million. If you go to the state, you're going to have to explain to them why you chose not to take $3.5 million to pay for a good hunk of your problems. I think you need to think about that. These folks have not only offered you a reasonable price, they've agreed to pick up the sewers and I won't even talk about the roads. You really need to rethink that.
That's your time, Jack.
You need the $3.5 million, and they take part of the load off your back. That's what's called a good deal.
Thank you, Jack. And the last speaker is Doug Applequist.
Good evening, Doug Applequist, 2B, Paradise Drive, Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park. If anything, you've heard a lot of passion tonight.
Is your microphone on?
Is the green light?
Yes, it could be
There we
because I'm over the top of the microphone.
You're just too tall.
You're just tall.
I'll bend it. If anything, you've heard a lot of passion tonight, right? I've been coming here since I was 12 years old. I'm the mayor of the Rock Pile. Eric will attest, I used to squirt him with squirt guns when he was a little kid. So that's why you feel all the passion here tonight, because we've all grown up here, and this is home. We feel like we're city residents, and we're getting kicked out. And so tonight, the future of the B level of the mobile home park will be decided. The Pines and A level will be next. The mobile home park is a self-sufficient, revenue-producing entity for the city of Lake Mills and the community. Over its 50-year existence, it has returned millions of dollars with very little expense to the city. The mobile home park has a significant impact on the city's budget and local businesses, revenue that will be very difficult to replace. The mobile home park has been and continues to be a good investment for the city of Lake Mills. Much higher expenditures have been approved that don't have the financial return to the city as the mobile home park does. However, it appears this decision to decommission the B level is not about finances. If it were, the Mobile Home Association Board would have discussed rate increases or special assessments with the city manager to fund needed upgrades. If council decides to decommission the B level, can you please provide us with a reason for removal of our longstanding homes? These are multi-generational homes that have an impact on our children and grandchildren. Additionally, you are requiring residents to pay for the removal of their homes or face litigation. Given the amount of money the mobile home park has returned to the city over the past 50 years, I ask the city to include these costs as part of your redevelopment plan if you go forward with decommissioning the B level. A decision is made to end a significant revenue source stream to the city without a plan on replacing it. The city has never discussed with the Mobile Home Association Board options that could benefit both parties other than termination of our leases. Previous city councils made a decision to eliminate the number one thing the city of residents wanted for Sandy Beach, a restaurant. Now the beach is empty with no restaurant and no plans on replacing it. Now the city council is deciding on the elimination of the mobile home park. What is the plan on replacing it and the guaranteed hundreds of thousands of dollars annually in revenue it returns to the city? If this decision is about money, why wouldn't the city council direct staff to have a replacement for the lost revenue in place for decommissioning? Don't make the same mistake twice. And finally, I encourage you to vote no for decommissioning the B level. Let the Mobile Home Association Board, City Manager, Parks Director, and City Attorney work together to find an amicable solution to everyone's needs that is financially beneficial for the city and its residents. Thank you for all these considerations. Appreciate all your time.
Thank you, Doug. And that is our last speaker doing public comment. Michelle, can you pull the clock down there so we can see? Okay, so close public comment for this evening, and our next agenda item is the city manager's report.
I'll only take 1 minute of your time, and I'll stay.
I'm sorry, we've closed public comment. I'm sorry, sir.
We closed it?
Yes, I've closed.
Why don't you folks surprise us and tell us what you really got behind this? This seems very insidious and dark, and without reason, it's irrational.
So I'm going to ask you to.
Mark Strelo, my wife and I worked all our life, just like these other people.
Mr. Strela, I'm going to ask you to please settle down. We're moving on with our agenda. We had an opportunity for many people to speak, and now we need to move on with our agenda. So thank you for being here. Okay, so our next item is the city manager's report. So Drake.
If there are any questions of me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, in the interest of time, you can move on from my report.
I wondered if we could just touch briefly on one of the constituent contacts, which was the intersection at Highway V and 89. And I know just a little bit about that it's county and state highway, but I know I get a lot of calls, when the weeds grow and so forth. So maybe if you could just clarify what steps you chose to take this summer.
Sure. So the state of Wisconsin has jurisdiction.
So public comment is close, and our next agenda item is the city manager's report.
Sorry.
We play. Go ahead.
The state of Wisconsin has jurisdiction over the intersection of B and V, the entrance of the community off the interstate. The county is then, I believe, contracted with the maintenance of the medians, the rights of way, things of that nature. We often receive complaints, suggestions to maintain that area as far as weeding, cutting, general basic maintenance of the area. It is not our jurisdiction area, so it's not something that we simply can go and start performing maintenance on it. But it got to the level that I had the Director of Public Works reach out to the county and ask if they had any objection to some basic maintenance of the area, basically limited to some weeding and some lawn cutting. And the county indicated that they had no objection, so then we were able to take care of that. It was only a few hours of work by city staff time, but I think did have a significant impact on the aesthetics of that intersection. We're going to continue to have conversations with the county on future maintenance there, and hopefully we can continue to keep that area looking nice for everyone that comes into Lake Mills from that direction.
Thank you. I appreciate that summary, and I for one support the city staff, doing that in this case, because it is, like you said, the entrance to our community. We don't want it to look unsightly, so thank you. Any other questions for the city manager this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to council business. So our first item is Resolution 25-53. Lisa, would you read that title for us, please?
City Council Resolution 25-53, resolution requesting exemption from county library tax.
I move to approve City Council Resolution 25-53, requesting exemption from the county library tax.
Second. We have a motion by Ms. Quidnow, seconded by Ms. Schmaker. Staff?
This is an annual approval. There is a countywide levy for the library system. Municipalities that operate their own public library and fund it at a certain level can exempt themselves from that tax. We exceed that level and therefore are eligible for exemption. So staff recommends approval of the resolution.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion from council members? Okay, seeing none, Lisa, would you please call the roll on Resolution 25-53?
Ms. Schmager.
Aye.
Ms. Quidnow.
Aye.
Mr. Coots.
Aye.
Mr. Waters.
Aye.
Ms. Curler.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you. Next agenda item is Resolution 25-54. Lisa, would you read that title for us, please?
City Council Resolution 25-54, conditional use permit, declarations and findings. Petitioner Lake Mills Area School District, amendment to conditional use permit for an addition at 615 Catlin Drive, Lake Mills, Wisconsin. Parcel 246-0713-1331001.
Thank you. Can we get a staff summary of this, please?
Good evening, Council. What you have in front of you is another amendment to a conditional use from the Lake Mills School District. We did one back in March, I believe, for the elementary school. This is for the high school. It's for an approximately 28,000 square foot addition for a gym and some office space. So this is kind of an ordinance-driven amendment change that our ordinance requires you guys to take a look at this and make an amendment when there's an enlargement or an addition to an already existing conditional use on this building or this school.
And Planning Commission did recommend approval.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from council members? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve City Council Resolution 25-54, conditional use permit declaring and finding petitioner Lake Mills School District amendment to conditional use permit for the addition at 615 Catlin Drive.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Waters, seconded by Ms. Quidnow. Any discussion? Questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, can we have a roll call vote, please, on Resolution 25-54?
Ms. Quednow.
Aye.
Mr. Coots.
Aye.
Mr. Waters.
Aye.
Ms. Curler.
Aye.
Ms. Schmager.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is Ordinance 1279. This is the third reading tonight. So Lisa, would you please do the third reading for us?
Ordinance 1279, amending comprehensive plan future land use map, parcel 246-0714-0734-025, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin.
Thank you. So this is the third reading. We did have some information presented about this by our staff at the first reading and consultant for Mr. Mangan at our last meeting at the second reading. Mr. Mangan is here this evening and would like to address the council. So if there's no objection, I'll have him come up. Drake, did you want to, you or Dustin, do an overview first? Or, okay. If you want to come up, that'd be fine.
Hi, I'm Bob Mangan, and I'm the owner of Rock Creek Apartments. I spoke with one of the planning committee members, and he spoke with the town of Athlon residents. And he said to me that the biggest complaint from the town of Athlon residents was that they think that the rug was pulled out from underneath them, because originally when we did the zoning for the land, I mean, I was elated to get approval to build apartments, and you know, the other part I was happy to put in residential housing. That was not a problem, or actually not me not doing the building, but me developing the land into single-family lots. Well, the furthest could be truth. I mean, things change, and that at that time, I did not do any sort of estimate on how much that would cost. I don't know if it would have made any difference at this point, but, since 2020, development costs have increased 37% from 2020 to 2023, 37%. So in that packet that I gave you, you'll see that for me to develop single-family lots at that location would cost $102,000 per lot. And then I had another study done by, I believe it was Sunshine Real Estate, and they went on MLS, and they took a 3.13 mile circumference around the city of Lake Mills, and the average price of a single-family lot in this area is $59,900. So for every lot that I would develop, I would be losing over $40,000. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, it's just not feasible to do this. A change in the comprehensive plan, it does not mean that the land is going to be rezoned to multifamily. I would like that, but it doesn't mean that. It's just that, the council would be open to some other alternatives. We've presented, many different things, to try to get approval, and the last one was, building townhouses as a buffer. Well, we've never built townhouses before, and they're very, very expensive to build. But I'm willing to do it, to have that buffer, so that the town of Athlon people can be, happy. And not only that, we have a big berm that they're not even going to see this, this property. There's been some very good comments by the people, and, I appreciate it. It's their neighborhood. Anyways, the city of Lake Mills has not had very much development recently. and that I do believe that the city could use some additional revenue. Last year, we paid $404,000 in real estate tax. If a plan were to be multifamily, in that we'd be paying, a total of around $1 million or a little over $1 million in tax. If you would read that other thing that I said, that Wisconsin economic development shows that there's a vacancy rate of about 3% in Jefferson County. There is a real lack of affordable housing for working families and essential workers, okay? Developing single-family lots is just out of the question, and the city of Lake Mills needs new development, and that's a perfect site for doing what we want to do, and I think that we do provide clean, affordable housing for, future workers coming into the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Mangan?
I have a question.
Oh. Want to stay up there? That'd be great. Michelle?
Thank you for coming and providing us your point of view on things. This is the first I've seen you. I think the other folks have seen you, but this is the first I've met you, so it's a pleasure meeting you, sir. I do want to ask you about the affordable housing that you just discussed and what that means to you. How affordable, or what defines affordable in your mind?
Well, I guess everybody is different. Wages are up. I don't know how to answer that. Obviously, we are full over there. Obviously, it must be affordable.
Okay. I have a follow-up question. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Of course.
One other comment that I wouldn't mind making is that, as far as the cost to the city, all our roads are private. We maintain our roads. We do our own plowing. There's basically the only cost that the city has is the lift station. The lift station is the only thing that the city, and there's about 13 children in the development. The city's not going to have to build new schools with that kind of a children base. So, just a comment.
Michelle, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, however, I've been derailed, so apologies. I'll try to remember it while others are asking their questions.
Okay. Any other questions? Mary?
Perhaps a follow-up question, Michelle, to get more clarity on the definition of affordable. What are the current rates of the apartments that are in existence at Rock Creek? What are the rates?
The rental rates?
The rental rates. That might help at least give me an indication, which is maybe leading to what you were trying to get at. No?
Yeah.
I think the highest rent is around $1,800 a month.
Okay.
Okay. If you have a one bedroom, it's maybe $1,400, and some of them have a 2-car garage that's a little bit more than the single car garage. So if you took between $1,400 and $1,800, that's the range.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Did you think of your other question?
Yes. I've been told that there are residents who have to pay for the water of other residents within the building because it's one water meter per building, and that there's a lack of equality, not equity, and a lack of equality having to do with that. Do you have comments about that?
Well, first of all, as far as utilities go, heat is included, but water is not included. And if you're familiar with the state of Wisconsin RUBS program, okay, and that's residential utility billing.
Okay.
That's what RUBS stands for. Okay, that we are allowed to, bill back, for water usage.
It's
So I'd like
for the
to
way
keep
that
this on
for
the
the way that
zone.
development is metered, it's an appropriate way for billing under Wisconsin regulations. So that's.
Thank you.
That's not something that the city directs or has a particular requirement on, is that what you're saying?
Okay.
I'd like to
Great.
keep this conversation to the zoning question that we're talking about
Well,
tonight.
and it's actually future land use map, I guess, is what is.
My apologies
is
for going
before
off
us, but,
topic.
We're good.
Any other questions for Mr. Mangan at this time? Okay, maybe if we could just have staff remind us, because this is, what's before us tonight is a change to the comprehensive plan future land use map. There would be a separate zoning amendment and building plans and so forth. If this is approved tonight, then that would be coming before us at a future date. Is that right?
That is correct. So
Okay.
the petition was to amend the future land use map to allow for planned residential. There was a public hearing at a previous plan commission meeting. They sent it with a positive recommendation to you. You are acting upon that. Change the future land use does not automatically change the underlying zoning, which is R1 for single family. There are a number of districts that are appropriate under the R14 or under the planned neighborhood district. There would be under Mr. Mangan and his people have made a petition to the Plan Commission. It's still at their level to change the zoning to R312 with the Plan Development District to allow for a range of building types and spatial relationships within the site itself. So that would still need to be resolved at a Plan Commission level, and they would still then need to make a recommendation to the council to act upon.
Okay.
So I guess the main question before you tonight is whether the city council on this parcel wants to see something that contains R14 compatible residential products only, or if you want to change it to the planned neighborhood, which would provide some flexibility in a proposal that would come before you. And it would essentially require the planned development district overlay in order to comply. You could, so I know it's difficult to separate it out from the proposal you may have seen that's before the Plan Commission right now, but that approval to plan neighborhood does not obligate you to approve whatever project plan comes forward from an applicant for a zoning change.
Okay, thank you. Greg?
I guess I'm wrestling a little bit with the whole planned neighborhood. At the first reading, we talked about that, and one of the council members, might have even been me, I can't remember, but they read what the comprehensive plan said was a planned neighborhood. And we couldn't really get our hands around and agree if that was the right term. So I wrote a note to myself, look at the code. So I went and looked at code, and planned neighborhood is not in our code.
Correct. It's a future land use designation only. Presumably, if someone was creating a planned neighborhood, there would be a zoning change application with a planned development district overlay on it in order to achieve that end.
So when I look at this ordinance, it's stating that Section 4, that this proposed rezoning of the subject parcel from single-family resident R14 district to multifamily residential R3-12 district with a planned development district. So it doesn't really define what that planned development district is, but I do know what a multifamily residential R3-12 is, because the code tells me that the purpose of the R3-12 multifamily residential district is to accompany a range of housing density and a variety of housing types and styles with a maximum density of 12 units per acre, which Mr. Daly stated in our first reading. That's what we're basically looking at here. So now I guess I have some clarity once I went through that process. But I am still confused on the planned development district, and do we need to define that more?
Because when I look at this, I'm basically seeing that we're changing it from a single family to multifamily.
Yep.
The rezoning would be changing it from single-family to multifamily. A future land use amendment, right now, the future land use for this category is single-family. It only allows single-family detached housing, right? Traditional single-family housing. We have a category that is a multifamily only classification. Our multifamily only classification does not allow, future land use does not allow for single-family detached housing. Our planned neighborhood is intended to generally work in conjunction with our planned development district to provide flexibility within a development type or a development area to enable a variety of housing choices and being mindful of transitions from one developed area to another, to be preserving any natural features, et cetera. So if you were to vote to change the future land use category from single family to planned neighborhood, you are in no way changing the underlying zoning district, which is the regulatory framework. That would still need to come to you as a separate petitioned item, which is right now at the Plan Commission level, has not been acted upon by the Plan Commission or recommended to you yet. So you are only on a future land use amendment.
Greg, I think you bring up a good point in that the applications came in together, and so they were drafted similarly. So if the council desired to approve a future land use map change to planned neighborhood, in section 4, I would strike everything after the words planned neighborhood and end that sentence there.
Where would you end it again?
Right after planned neighborhood, and
On
then
the
not
second
even mentioned the proposed rezoning from the other application that came in.
So you would, on the second line where it says planned neighborhood, everything after that, 3, 4, and 5 would go away?
In section 4.
In section 4.
Yeah, in section 4, correct.
Okay.
That would be, since we're dealing with them separately, since the Plan Commission kept the zoning change at their level until the council acted on the future land use map amendment, that would be my suggestion. If the council wanted to change the planned neighborhood, that in section 4, you would strike everything after planned neighborhood and not reference anything with the proposed zoning change.
So a couple thoughts that I have. When Mr. Coots and I served on the Plan Commission the last couple of years, Mr. Mangan presented to us a couple of different times, and a lot of that conversation revolved around, and as we've talked about previously, barriers to single-family residential and wanting to get some, increase in residential development in the community, and also that we have a variety of residential needs, both for single-family and for other sizes of development. In our comprehensive plan, one of the concepts that it discussed is this idea of missing middle, which is maybe a little bit, I'll just paraphrase, but a little bit greater density of development. But we don't have that missing middle zoning in our zoning codes. We don't have an easy way for a developer to get to that. And the planned neighborhood, it seems to me, is sort of the best tool that we have to say, yeah, we're willing to consider something that's not only single family, but there would be give and take. We'd need to work with the developer on exactly what they were proposing. So I do think that in conversations with the Plan Commission over the last couple of years, that's kind of led to this idea of the planned neighborhood, so that, as Drake said earlier, there would be some additional flexibility in terms of what could be offered out there. I think, Mary, you pointed out at one of our previous 2 readings on this that what hasn't come before us yet, but is in a project plan for this property, doesn't line up with what our comprehensive plan might describe for sort of percentages of things like that. but we're not being asked to vote on that project plan tonight. So I guess I would kind of lean toward supporting the planned neighborhood, although I'd like to see, Mr. Mangan and the Plan Commission address maybe bringing whatever's proposed a little bit more in alignment with what our comp plan says about planned neighborhood. One other thought I have, and I know that several of the adjacent property owners have spoken to us at several different times, and I mentioned previously I'd been down this gravel road that would become the access road to that area, and I appreciate that people would have concerns about, additional vehicles driving through there. Doing the math, if it stayed single-family and was developed, you would have 66 homes in there, and there would be cars and vehicles coming through. So at some point in time, whether we approve this, change the land use map or not, at some point in time, there will be hopefully residential development in there, and there will be vehicles going through there. So I think that's something I want to be sensitive to their concerns and make sure any development would not, significantly impact them. But I think we are planning residential in that area, and, so there is bound to be some vehicle traffic one way or the other.
Yeah, I think when you take a look at our zoning code in the matrix of land uses, there's kind of a little bit of I guess I'll call it a quirk in that attached twin homes are permitted by right in R14 residential. So someone could plat an entire development of twin homes, which is a duplex, but the lot line runs straight through the middle. Duplexes are not permitted in R14 single family. Neither twin homes or duplexes are allowed in R312 multifamily, our highest density. The only R28 is the only district in which duplexes are permitted by right within our zoning district. And so when you're looking at diversity of housing, if you want to see a variety of building sizes and a variety of residential products, the only way to truly accomplish that within our regulatory framework, the zoning code, is through a planned development district, because you just can't achieve the diversity within what's permitted and allowed necessarily within any one district that's permitted by right. So there is an oddity, I would say there. It may be something we want to look at, particularly related to R312, our multifamily district, because right now we're essentially saying that we don't consider duplexes single family, we don't consider duplexes multifamily. So where do they really fit into if we want to see that type of housing product in the community? That is unknown right now, so.
I'm sorry, and I'm not disagreeing with Mr. Daly on this. One of the issues with zoning is it permits things by right. In the R312 district, even if we were to put duplexes and triplexes, and which triplexes, fourplexes, sixplexes are all allowed in the R312, right? Now you get into an economics issue, an economy of scale. There isn't anything in the zoning code, if you have these things permitted by right in the R312, that compels a developer to actually develop them. They could develop the largest building that meets the zoning code requirements and the density requirements and bring that forward, and the city would be required to approve it because it's allowed within the code, right? So the reason there are certain things allowed in some districts and not others is to ensure that the city is getting what it wants where it wants it. If the plan development district is that mechanism that allows the plan commission and the council to have a final say in the development plan. Otherwise, if it is just zoned R312 and a developer comes in and brings a bunch of large format apartment buildings in, we would be compelled to approve it if it met our design criteria, our setback, our bulk regulations, right? So the only way to really have control over it from a regulatory perspective is the plan development district. And so that's why this is being brought to you in that way. The other piece is about the original approval. These lands were included in a plan development district, right, in the R14 area. So it's a deeper dive into how do we better encourage certain housing products we want. But you do need to understand that the way codes are generally structured, if things are permitted by right, you're kind of at the mercy of the developer to do what you feel is best, right? And your vision may not necessarily align with their vision, but when you have the final say in what the development plan is going to be, their vision comes around to your vision.
Greg.
I did want to address one of the comments that Mr. Menigan made about developments in Lake Mills. I think he said that it was not in abundance. That wasn't quite the same word, but it wasn't going very well lately or something to that effect. I think we've had more of the multi-housing in our community. The single-family housing that we do gets filled up immediately. I think we had 48 houses on the south side of town. Brookstone continues to fill up. So when we do get single-family houses built in Lake Mills, they fill up very rapidly. We're getting quite close to a threshold where the multi-housing is starting to catch up with single-family to where it's getting too large to meet our standards, basically, and we need more single-family housing. So that's kind of where we're at. So I did want to address that I feel that when we do get single-family housing, they do fill up very fast here in Lake Mills. So, go ahead. I'm done.
Can I have the numbers to actually, I asked myself the question first, if we're going to grow, like how we grow. And so I have I thank you to Drake, shared with me some unit numbers so I could kind of get a picture around the percentage. In our plan, it notes that our policy is we are looking around single family 60 to 70% of the housing stock. And so these aren't super precise numbers. They're kind of, I would say, more on the rough side, but we are around a 69-31 single family, multifamily balance now. And with Brookstone 9 and our Park Reserve, we're adding 180 units. It shifts a little bit. And if you look at the just kind of a possible Rock Creek development enhancement, and it includes some duplexes as an example. You know, in our comprehensive plan, it does say that we desire that, and we have very little on an acreage basis, as was noted as in one of the chapters. That and counting those as single family, Drake and I have had a little conversation around you counting them as single or as a multi, but let's just count them as single for the sake of trying to get some numbers. And thinking of possible, the West Tyranena discussion, hypothetically Century, which is earmarked for multifamily. The Durant property on B is single family. We're getting around 60-40. If all of that came to fruition and we had the multifamily roughly, around 100 plus units here and there. And so it is putting pressure, but we're still, at least in the rough numbers that I was trying to calculate, we're moving there over a period of years, the next few years, but we're just starting to dabble at that 60, which means we have a lot of work, I think, to try to figure out how to get multifamily as a better option, but also the units, I think, they could take up more space, and I think the counts can be misleading looking at it this way a little bit, because it takes a lot of single family to catch up to one multifamily large building. Mm-hmm. I think it'll change fast only because of the nature of multifamily. And so I feel that the one issue that I think is still outstanding for me, I think planned neighborhood, I really like, it says 4 times in our comprehensive plan, the mix that we desire in a planned neighborhood, which is really intriguing. And it's, 55 to 65 single family, 10 to 20 two family or single family attached, and the balance multifamily. Not sure we're going to be able to achieve that, but a planned neighborhood combination like that to me feels like it would be a balance between different housing types and would support healthy growth with having a mix of different size of units. So the planned neighborhood map amendment would give us that possibility, or it could all be single family. So if the plans come forward and we don't support them, or the planning commission doesn't support them, we don't support them, it still gives us the opportunity to go back to full single family, correct? If it's a planned neighborhood? At some point in time?
If it was future land use map of planned neighborhood and somebody proposed a single-family development, I don't believe that would require a future land use map amendment.
Amendment again, okay. The one question I do have, though, is if we've done any work in partnering with the Jefferson County on evaluating any improvements to that intersection of Mulberry and A, it is in our comprehensive plan as noted as a safety concern given the berm. So any development, whether it's full single family, or whether it's a planned neighborhood with some combination of units, can be hundreds plus cars hitting that intersection. And I know a citizen, a community member did mention 20 car backups. I've seen it, I've been in it. It is during past periods. We all have pressure points throughout the city, as we all know, during school zone times and rush hour. But have we made any progress with Jefferson County on finding a solution at that particular intersection that we can be addressing before we get too far along the road and creating something additional?
We've had some preliminary conversations with them. Likely the only solution there is a four-way stop. There's not going to be enough space for a roundabout, and I would imagine it is not going to come near warrants for a lighted intersection. So we have had some preliminary conversations with them. We know they're planning to do some maintenance in the area, so I think that'll continue. But there are no firm plans for changes at this moment.
Any other comments on Ordinance 1279? Greg Coots, any thoughts? We talked about this off and on at Plan Commission. Okay. Okay, would someone like to make a motion on Ordinance 1279? I don't think we have one yet. All right, I will make a motion to approve Ordinance 1279, which is an amendment to the future land use map on the Mangan property on East Tyranena Park Road. Is there a second?
Would you like to strike those words in section 4, making reference to the zoning change?
Sure. Yeah, so I will move adoption of Ordinance 1279 with the revision that in section 4, the section 4 be ended at the end of the second line where it says planned neighborhood period, and then strike the rest of the text in section 4.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Curler and a second by Ms. Schmaker to adopt Ordinance 1275 with an amendment to section 4. Is there any further discussion? Okay, and again, just to make sure everybody's clear, we're only voting on the change to the future land use map amendment from single family to planned neighborhood. We are not approving a project plan or voting on the zoning. Okay, Lisa, would you please call the roll on Ordinance 12, and it's as amended. We can do it all at one time, right? Okay, so please call the roll on Ordinance 1279 as amended.
Mr. Coots?
Aye.
Mr. Waters?
No.
Ms. Curler?
Aye.
Ms. Schmager?
Aye.
Ms. Quidnow?
No.
Motion passed 3-2.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mangan. Okay, our next agenda item is Ordinance 1280. And this is the second reading tonight. Lisa, would you do that second reading for us, please?
Ordinance 1280, amending City of Lake Mills Code Section 615-4, speed limits.
Okay, thank you. That's our second reading tonight, so we can carry that forward to our next agenda item for our next agenda for third reading and adoption, or a vote. Okay, our next agenda item is Ordinance 1281, and this is the first reading of that. Lisa, would you do our first reading?
Ordinance 1281, amending comprehensive plan future land use map, parcel number 246071311140000, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin.
Okay, would council members like a brief overview of this, just to be prepared for future discussion? It's just the first reading tonight, so we won't be taking a vote. Dustin, is that on you? Okay, great.
Thank you, Ms. Curler. Yes, so this is a vacant piece of property, just under 7 acres across the street from the Lake Mills Market. It's about a vacant piece or farmed piece that has been shown in long-range plans for we call planned business and office for that area. The petition is to change that future land use to our multifamily district. This piece of land has been vacant for obviously decades, but it has been zoned and kind of prepared for planned business for decades. The property owner over many years, previous property owner, it's recently sold, previous property owner was very adamant about it being available for commercial development. Obviously, in decades, we have not received any proposed commercial development on this site in concept or in formal application. It's important to note that in this area, the lands across the street with the Lake Mills Market, their outlots are all zoned for planned business, as well as the vacant lands that surround Quick Trip and the vacant lands that surround McDonald's are all zoned for commercial development. This land has recently sold. That owner is making the request to change the future land use amendment, land use category to multifamily, and then a subsequent item is to rezone those lands for multifamily development. There is an argument to be made that the market has kind of spoken about commercial in this area and says it's not ripe for development as commercial. We do have some 70-plus acres of commercial land available in this area of I-43, 89, and V. There is very little multifamily development in this area of the community. There's a graphic to that effect within the memo that just shows that they're to the west side of 89. In this area, there's only one, I'll say, multifamily product, and that is the city's housing, senior housing project that kind of exists a little bit to the south. These lands, multifamily here, could provide a transition from commercial to the single family to the west. That is land that is in the town, but it is single family. The other land use surrounding this property to the east and the south is the Lake Mill Cemetery. So no future development will be occurring on those properties whatsoever. This property does have excellent connection to transportation network, which is desired for multifamily development. It's on a county road. It is near the intersection of State Highway and near the interchange of the interstate, all within kind of a quarter mile without having to travel through any neighborhoods to get there. So that's an important distinction. The other issue that we look for with multifamily development is proximity to parks, schools, and employment, right? Making sure that they are proximate, and all of those are obviously proximate to the site. So for those reasons, the Plan Commission did recommend to the council to approve a change in the future land use from planned business to multifamily.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Dustin at this time? Okay, seeing none, that's our first reading tonight, so we'll have that on our agenda at our next meeting for a second reading. The next item is Ordinance 1282, which is a zoning amendment. This is also the first reading. Lisa, would you do that first reading of Ordinance 1282, please?
Ordinance 1282, amending City of Lake Mills Ordinance Section 660-44, official zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin.
Thank you. I'm sorry, just a brain blip here, but did I have Lisa read the previous ordinance? Did she conduct the reading?
Yes.
She did. Okay, thank you. I just didn't make a note, so thank you. Okay, so this is a companion, I take it, to the previous one?
This works hand in hand with the future land use amendment. If the future land use amendment would not pass, you would not be able to change the zoning as requested by the applicant and as recommended by the Plan Commission from planned business to our R312 district. Again, a zoning change needs to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and future land use. The memo that we've highlighted here and that was presented at the public hearing and to the Plan Commission outlined those items that I had mentioned previously about dispersing multifamily, connectivity to transportation network, proximity to other important destinations, and the like. Unlike the item we talked about for future land use amendment previously, which has a planned development district for it, this is the recommendation from the Plan Commission here was to just rezone the lands. There is no development plan that accompanies it. So that would be allowing multifamily under our code and needing to be in compliance with, I'll say, our rigorous code requirements for design criteria, building orientations, layouts, site amenities, buffering, transitions, pedestrian connectivity, and the like. But we do not have a development plan with this. The Plan Commission felt confident, I will say, in the zoning code to address these issues. They were confident in the transition issues could be resolved to the single family of the west, and obviously with the existing cemetery to the south and to the east, there would not be conflicts with this development, with proposed multifamily development in this area, and they felt that this is a acceptable transition from the commercial corridor as we start moving kind of south and west into residential development.
Thank you. Any questions for Dustin about this proposal? I just have one. If it's not a planned development, so they would, assuming these two were adopted, they could just meet all of our bulk regulations. Would there be sidewalk requirements?
Yes.
Because this is a nice, we've just constructed a sidewalk across part of it and have the access across the highway.
I will point to two recent developments. Summer Ridge development, high character aesthetic development, also has sidewalks, right, pedestrian connections throughout. So again, we have pretty rigorous zoning requirements. It's changed names a handful of times. Parkside, what are we calling it this week? Park Reserve, south of Wallace Park has been through the approval process, and I think you've seen some of those plans with the developers agreement. Again, we'll have sidewalks, we'll have a recreational element within it for those residents, has high-quality building materials, has extensive landscaping and such. So again, our zoning code is pretty robust when it comes to these issues, by design to enable certain development types to happen and make it very clear what the expectations are.
Great. Thank you very much. Any other questions on Ordinance 1282 for this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll put that on for second reading at our next meeting. Our next item is Ordinance 1283. Lisa, would you do the first reading of Ordinance 1283 for us?
Ordinance 1283, amending City of Lake Mills Ordinance, Section 660-44A, official zoning map, City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin. Parcel identification numbers 018-0713-0133-004 and 018-0713-0133-003, Lake Mills Area School District.
Thank you. So Troy, you're back to give us a little overview.
Sure. These are a little bit easier. This is a formality. This was too recently annexed in parcels. Our code requires them to come into the city as a RD, a rural development, and then allows our council to rezone them to the appropriate zoning district. And that's what this process is about here.
And this is for the Bus Barns property, right, on the north
Correct.
side? Okay, great. Any questions on this proposal this evening? Great.
Planning Commission did recommend approval.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, seeing none, we'll move this on to our next meeting agenda for a second reading. Just looking at the time, I'm wondering if we want to take a brief recess for a stretch bathroom break? Someone want to make a motion?
Yes.
Well, we're expecting to have a lengthy discussion, so I want to make sure our council members are comfortable to have that discussion, and all of us, so.
I'll make the motion to adjourn for break for 5 minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay, so we're at 5-minute recess, thank you.
duplex in there.
Right. It has to be that,
So-
that other one he said.
So the PDD,
R1, was it?
well, R2As. R2A has got single family and twin home, but no and duplexes. Then you can't put multi.
Thanks for backing me up on the mix thing.
Yeah.
Because when he said that, it rubbed me wrong. Like, wait a minute.
I got you.
No.
Got your back. Oh, so you've been on the Plan Commission for a long time. So if they were, when they had the R312.
I drank all this, I need.
I was understanding from Drake that if it's R312, you can't put anything else in there but multifamily. Because there's no
I come to you because you asked to go at the beginning of the meeting.
Like you can't, oh, I'm sorry, like you can't put any of these other unit types because there's only a few. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's what the development district is.
Okay, so then the overlay allows you to put in.
The overlay allows you to, yeah.
Okay. That's what I want to see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right, because without that, yeah, no, it's.
Yeah, you're stuck in a
R3.
box.
Well, it's,
Yeah, multi is only multi. You can't do two
Yeah,
units,
it's
which is, I was calling 2 units multi, and Drake then calls them single. I'm like, no. It's not a one. And our comp plan has them separate as single and 2 and multi. So anyway, so he and I went back. He's like, I respectfully disagree with you, Mary. And I'm like, no, I don't know. You can, but.
since we've gotten access to look up all the other cities' codes.
Yeah.
Easily mistaken trying to look up how the other cities do
Yeah.
it. Every single city is
Oh.
different.
Oh, interesting.
They all have their own table and none
and their
of them
own
quite
code, their own
match.
words.
Yeah.
All right.
At least I think we're going again.
I have a major headache. So, it is what it is.
Oh. Okay, we're going to get started again. Recess is over. Please take a seat. We're going to get the meeting started again. Okay, thank you. Our next agenda item is Resolution 25-55. Lisa, would you read that title for us, please?
City Council Resolution 25-55, directing action regarding Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park B level, Lake Mills, Wisconsin.
Thank you. So, Drake, I'm just going to ask you to just give a brief overview of what's in the resolution, and it's got 2 choices to it. So if you could just summarize that for us, please.
So at the last city council meeting, the city council requested a resolution to be, I'm sorry, it was 2 city council meetings ago, requested a resolution be on this meeting's agenda regarding a decision point for Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park Level B. As you read through it, when you get to the now therefore be it resolved section, you'll see that there are 2 choices there. Both involve directing your city staff to take certain steps. The first is the redevelopment and renovation of Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park B level. And the second choice is the decommissioning of Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park B level. You will note that under the be it further resolved, it does direct staff to terminate leases for the 2026, following the 2026 season. So it would be the 2027 that there would be a gap. There would be either a gap year or would be the beginning of the decommissioning of the park. Also, in your email boxes, we will be uploading to Granicus the agenda after the meeting. We can't do it while the meeting is in session, and we received it this afternoon. But there is a letter from the city's engineer outlining for you the challenges and reasoning for why, in the city engineer's opinion, the most practical solution is to remove the trailers for the work and the impracticality associated with keeping them in place due to the DNR regulations as well as other stated goals of the city council, which is full compliance.
So would anyone like to kick off the discussion? Michelle?
I have a question. You had mentioned something about the compliance piece with the DNR. What is the outcome should this not be in compliance with DNR?
Well, once we begin the redevelopment of that utility system, the only choice is compliance. And so there's a vertical and a horizontal requirement within spacing of sewer and water systems, which must be complied with as far as separation of those, both how far they are apart and then the depth at which they need to go, as well as city specifications for winterization connections and other items. And so that's what, when we're talking about full compliance, those are some of the pieces for the utility system that we are talking about. So it is not, we cannot replace what exists the same way it is currently there. There necessitates additional improvements.
Sorry, follow-up question. How long has it been out of compliance?
I would have to know. It's grandfathered in, so it's not necessarily considered out of compliance, but when you touch it, you then need to bring it into compliance. It would be considered grandfathered in at whatever point the DNR adopted their administrative code that made those requirements. So that's the best answer I can give you on that.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thanks, Michelle. Greg
guess I'll
Waters.
go.
Okay.
Thank you for giving me the 2 weeks to, or the two
Extra weeks, yeah.
2 extra weeks to review this. I took the time, of course, to look at the Sandy Beach lease agreement that's been in place since 2023. Looked at visited the site several times, had an opportunity to review the numbers. And when I look at the numbers that are the current lease agreement and at the 38 residents, it would take over 30 years to hit the break-even point. So I realize that we're going to have probably 3% rate increases every year, according to the lease agreement. But we're only looking at 17 sites. So I would project it would be over 30 years to hit break-even based on reducing the number of sites, actually. So it's a tough one because you look at the human factor and there's a lot to consider there, but at the same time you need to look at the impact to the taxes and the local residents also and their support on this program. I understand that people that live in the mobile home park do benefit the businesses in the community. So there's just a lot to look at here. But I am concerned about the break even, that's one that's hard to get over at this point.
Yeah, I think if we, just to follow up on that, if the city council chose to proceed with redevelopment of the mobile home park, if we started down that path, I think it would necessitate probably the most significant renegotiation of those lease agreements and that lease structure since probably the city's been operating it. That it simply could not, the lease structure simply cannot support the work that needs to be done while maintaining existing revenues to the operating budget and ensuring that the taxpayer is not subsidizing the principal and interest payments of the bond that would be taken out. So it would, if the council went that way, that would be one of the first steps we would take is begin those discussions on what rate structure are we able to negotiate in order to cover the costs of these improvements that need to be made in order to ensure that it's a financially viable project for the city to undertake.
How long would it take to do a renegotiation or discussion like that?
We need to be done before the termination notices are due in June. So We'd have
June of
no-
this coming
June of
year.
'26, so
Okay.
we'd have to complete it in a matter of months.
Okay.
Just a point of clarification on that. If we're to redevelop Level B, and under this current proposal, we would be asking the existing mobile homes to be moved out for that work, and then 17 or 18, I guess it hasn't been designed yet, but 17 mobile homeowners coming back in, they would start on a new lease, presumably, right? So they might potentially have a different lease than people who would be remaining in A in the Pines. I don't know if that's speculative or if that's just,
Yeah, that is a potentiality, yes. We would need to negotiate with the association to determine the best path forward, and how to ensure that the project is financially viable. So there's nothing that prohibits the city from having two different lease structures on separate segments of the mobile home park.
okay. Thank you. Any other comments? Mary?
I'll add kind of like a similar kind of comment, I think, to you, Greg. But first of all, I wanted to say I super appreciate how you all have shared what this community means to you. You've taken the time to share your expenses, and I can relate. My grandfather owned a mobile home in La Crosse on the Mississippi River, and so I have very fond memories as a child. So I feel your compassion for the city and the heartache that you're feeling as we're talking about this aging infrastructure that is, in my opinion, long overdue. I've only been in the city for 9 years, but the documentation of the number one reason why we started talking about Sandy Beach was because the infrastructure had been known to be failing back in the 2016, 17, 18 time period. And so I feel that there's a sentiment across the city council. There's a question about why are we rushing? Some of it is to give you all a chance with whatever decision that we just all can then plan and prepare for whatever we decide. And so, not that we're making a rash decision, but I want to thank you for taking the time, and also want to thank a lot of citizens. This is a very important topic, and it is a very big, long, writing subject. So our decision puts us out 50 years. I think I'll be gone and whatever we decide will have impacted how we handle Sandy Beach. And I've talked to a lot of people. I've spent more time talking to taxpayers about their interest. And I will share that not one taxpayer has an interest in spending taxpayer money to reposition the 3.6 acres, I think it is, or so, 3 acres, where Part B sits, to replace it with a mobile home park using taxpayer dollars. And so, because it's not accessible to them. And this park is, as you all know, it's why it's so special. It is the #1 unique asset in the city. It draws in, it is unique. If we didn't have it, well, we have a cool downtown too. So our square, I would say, is right there, #2. But our lake property, that Sandy Beach, it is, I think it's tired and it's ready. And our citizens have been anxious to be a part of experiencing more of it. And, I wouldn't be, there's a comment regarding moral capacity, and I was elected by the citizens. So my moral capacity sits with the citizens who elected me and who are paying the tax bill. And so I hear them. They have been unanimous in directing the perspective of not replacing the mobile home park using the taxpayer dollars. And so that's where my current input is, and it's through the eyes of the many people that I've talked to, and we've heard from a small number today, but there are call them the silent majority, who aren't all here in the room with us today, but who have expressed a very large concern about replacing Part B with using taxpayer money to go after it.
Thank you, Mary. It's fascinating to me to listen to you because my experience was, over the last 4 weeks was very similar to what you've just described. And I have had an opportunity to talk to a lot of different city residents from all walks of life, young families, expecting their first child, to people who've lived here for 40 years, to people who are newly here, seniors, younger people. And so it's been really wonderful to hear their perspectives. And I think I shared a lot of my initial thoughts 4 weeks ago, but some of the things that constituents shared with me that really stuck with me, I wanted to, I guess, share with the rest of you, in no particular order, things that people, city residents told me. The Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park should be self-supporting, not subsidized. This is a 50-year decision. If you decide to redevelop it, it will be there for 50 years, which I think we've talked about that as well. Why does the city operate a mobile home park? I would like to see it as parkland. It's not a good investment. One constituent very specifically said to me, a restaurant and a mobile home park are outside of the scope of services that I think a city should be providing, just like generally, that's not what they think that government should be in the business of. Another person said, we've really got an opportunity, this is an opportunity to do something grand. And another person reminded me of a quote about, make no small plans, they fail to inspire the hearts of people. And one of the things I noticed as I was talking to citizens is they got very excited at thinking about what else we could do with 3.6 acres and what other opportunities there might be, whether it's green space, whether it's, improving some of the stormwater management and having less impervious surface, whether it's more trees, whether it's an RV campground or some other revenue producing, maybe that's where a concession stand goes. But that really, along with the quote that someone shared with me, it really stuck with me that the more people I talked to when they thought about, this is city-owned property, this is already my parkland, and if the level B is decommissioned, think of all the things we could do. That really seemed to inspire people and get people excited. Not the residents of the mobile home park, but, like you said, to the taxpayers, the people that elected us to make these decisions. Those were the things I was hearing, and people were really getting enthusiastic about the possibilities. So that was exciting to me as well. And I guess one of the things I find very difficult and challenging about this decision, or unique about it, I guess maybe you would say, is, we're a government entity, right? And so everything we do is transparent. We make our decisions in open meetings. We have public comment. We give lots of opportunity for people to speak. But we're also kind of a business owner in the sense of operating this mobile home park. And if we were a private business operating a mobile home park, there would not be this kind of, involvement of the renters if the private owner needed to make a difficult financial decision and they felt that it wasn't in the best interest to continue, or they felt that a 24-year or 30-year return on investment wasn't a good investment, they would make that decision. And so, I feel like we have had more transparency and given more opportunity for public input because we are a government entity. But I also think we have to make a decision that is the best for the future of the city of Lake Mills and as you said, Mary, the people who have elected us. So anybody else have any thoughts or comments that they would like to share?
My conversations with people have been somewhat the same and somewhat different. I do agree with both the previous speakers here that people are very worried about a taxpayer subsidized trailer park. That particular part of the phrase is not they've all agreed with. The general thought for that particular, for that general area, kind of the trailer park as a whole, not necessarily just the B level, it's almost more apathy than anything. It's, I don't want to pay for it, but it's also, and the thing that was missing, I'm not hearing oh wow, what could we do with this? How could we expand the park and what could all go there? That part of it's been missing from the conversations I've had. And if you bring in if you add in the fact that, well, the trailer park funds a significant chunk of our parks budget every year, if you bring that in, then the people are generally saying, well, okay, keep it that way then, because like our parks. I know that the finances would need to change, and they would need to change drastically to avoid that first part about it not being a subsidized park, of it being more self-sustaining. But I haven't heard a ton of excitement about expanding it. I also kind of circled back to some of the discussion that I heard the Parks Board having, and these are my inferences from what they were saying. This is not what the Parks Board itself was saying, but as I watched the long meeting where they were debating different ways of using the park, there were individual pieces of it that as they came up, people kind of shied away from. One of them was fire pits. One of them was ice skating, although that one not quite as much, but there was a lot of questions around that, and is this the right place, and do we really want to do that? There was kind of a push, it seemed like, some of the things that were talked about, there was kind of a push to, maybe this should be, a bigger place and a year-round place, and we should make more use of it. And the individual pieces of that, when it came up, all kind of seemed to get pushed by the wayside, meaning Sandy Beach is a beach, first and foremost, and that people don't necessarily think of it as the park. So, so my conversations have been slightly different, I guess. I would, and I'm very sensitive to the fact that if people are a temporary resident of Lake Mills, they still are a resident of Lake Mills. It obviously, the place means a lot to a lot of those people. We are at a point where something about the place absolutely, just needs to change. It's just time, and I don't want to make a decision that traumatizes anyone, but it's a financial decision too. I also don't want to make a sad decision and just say, I'm gonna cry a lot over this and say there's no way I can possibly do this to someone. It's not being done to anyone. It just is what it is. I guess at this point I would be leaning towards doing the redevelopment as a trailer park. Obviously there would need to be a lot of work that goes into the numbers to make that work, but I would be,
I'd ask to not have applause, please. We're having a council.
I mean, of the two resolutions, that's the one I would be leaning, two halves of the resolution, or however we're phrasing it. That's the one I would be leaning towards right now. One last thing with the park redevelopment, and as it relates to the sea level, Something that's been very clear about the park development and has been echoed throughout all those different parks meetings is, making sure that the beach is clean. I don't want to play around with a septic system and try doing a good enough job with septic that close to it. E. coli is something that's come up multiple times as it relates to that. So I absolutely think something needs to be done, whether it's decommissioning or redeveloping, whatever it is. It does need to be addressed one way or the other, and that's part of the whole, part of the larger redevelopment, which is part of why this is in front of us now, I think. So,
Thank you. Michelle, do you have any thoughts you want to share?
I have thoughts, but I am going to be more careful with what I'm saying. There was a lot of what everyone has said that is resonating in my heart and in my brain. And that is really what it comes down to, is it's a decision between the two. And it's not an easy one. Nobody likes hard decisions. Nobody likes to be disappointed, and this is not an easy decision to make. So with that said, I'm not sure exactly yet which direction I would like to go. I think I see the pros and cons to both. The pros being that there is a potential of 50 more years of generations coming to Lake Mills, building a life in Lake Mills. The reason that they may return is to have a home in Lake Mills. It's like a dangling the carrot, like look at where you could be when you retire. But on the other hand, there's a financial piece that we need to be conscious of. And I appreciated the gentleman putting together the numbers and laying it out as such. It was easy to read, and that's important to me because that's not usually my thing. This is not going to be a decision that we take lightly by any means, and I agree with what Mary said about the morality piece. This is not a morality issue. This is a business decision, one way or the other.
Drake, I would like to ask a question about, there was some public comment centered around sort of the idea that whatever we do with level B will send a message that that's what we're going to do with the other levels. And I think that you've shared with us that and I think you said it earlier tonight, that the plan for the other levels would be to do some evaluation of those utilities so that we could understand their condition. And maybe could you just talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, at the end of this lease period, we'll be going out and televising A-level in the Pines to get a full visualization of the condition of those areas, and that'll give us a better idea of useful life left in those systems. And so I would say that the B-level conversation can be made independent of those. The city can choose a degree, right? You can choose to decommission B-level and maintain A and Pines into the future. Those decisions have yet to be made. We don't have the information on A-level and Pines that we would like, and we're waiting until the lease period is over to send in the televising crews to gain a better understanding of how many years we have left. And then depending on how many years there are left, what opportunities exist for the city council to consider as far as whether it wants to engage in conversations with the association to prepare for redevelopment of those areas, or how you would like to proceed. Those are all policy level discussions that the council will need to grapple with in the future.
And just to follow up on that then, and it's an unknown, so when people are asking, well, what's going to happen to these other levels, we don't know because we don't have that information. So we're not trying to not be transparent, but we're just not making any decisions on those areas right now because we don't have that data. But let's just say the televising shows that there still is some useful life in those, in that infrastructure, would it be fair to say we would continue those for some period of time until we felt that, some work was needed or something different was needed?
Correct.
So again, it's sort of an unknown right now, but we do have plans to do some evaluation to see what's needed there, or perhaps nothing is needed in the short term. I wondered, we did have the memo from Chief Russ, and since he came back from training here, perhaps, Chief, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just come up and just summarize, and if council members have any questions about the report that you prepared for us for a couple meetings ago.
Good evening once again. Let me pull up the document just so that way I can reference back to it.
Oh, while you're looking at that, your presentation earlier tonight was great. Thank you for,
Thank you.
It was very heartfelt. Thank you.
So the biggest thing is, my job is to basically view things through the eyes of safety and to make sure that the community is as safe as possible. When I view different areas of the city, there's several things that I look at, and that is the potential of large loss of life. Delayed responses are really at the forefront of what I view. The day that I did not just take one day and drive through because the day of the week fluctuates, the population fluctuates. And one of the things that my members said is, well, you need to go through there on July 4th and take a look at it. So there's also standards of what mobile home parks are now built to. That is the reference to SBS, I believe it's 326.12, which details road sizes, things like that a trailer park or mobile home park is to be designed to. However, those things are always changing. Whatever that reference was back in the day when this was built may have been different. But over the course of times, things seem to get tighter. People rake their lawns out a little bit more, road widths change, things like that. So the biggest concerns that I had, one was passability, and in the event that an emergency service is needed there. On July 4th, one of the days that I did drive through there, on level B, right as I entered the park, there's a trailer that sits right at the entrance. I watched the gentleman load up a golf cart where 3 vehicles were parked out in front, out on the roadway, and took off on his golf cart down to the beach. I know that the comment had been, we will be there to move vehicles if need be. In this case, I don't know where that resident was once they took off down Sandy Beach. So I can't rest assured on the guarantee that somebody's going to be there to move it if our apparatus have to get through. So that was obviously one concern. Vehicles parked in the middle on the roads of each side, which then leaves us a very narrow path. And you look at the size of our vehicles and having to get down there. If we can't get into the parking lot or down to the road, that just delays the responses, which goes off of my presentation earlier. Time really does make a difference. So that's one view, is the parking. The next, I look at building structure. I look at how close buildings are. I look at how small yard sheds are erected and put up. A wood pile is now there. And I know that right now, our building inspector, we look at the 3 feet distance in between the things, but what are the things that are starting to spider web the buildings together? And that's tents, awnings, wood piles, vegetation. That all adds to the conflagration of a property such as that. A few years back, not sure if any of you remember, I believe it was Lakeland Campground in Edgerton. I was on that fire and we lost 30 mobile homes. And that went very, very fast. Luckily, it was during the off-season, everything was shut down, so nobody was in there to have any loss of life. So those are two items that I really looked at, and when I did my review of the trailer park, that I really took into consideration. I think that there's some really good opportunity to restructure, replace, and make to the new WIS. But if you take all those things into a factor, I don't know if as many could be put back there. At the fire department, at the end of the day, we make things work with what we have and how we have to do them. But those are a couple of topics that I did have in that memo. So if there's any questions regarding anything else, I can
Thank
try
you.
to
Any
shed some light on
questions
that.
for Chief Russ? I don't know if there's a question for you or maybe for Drake, but you mentioned the vehicle parking. Are there some restrictions on where vehicles are supposed to be parked around the mobile homes, or limitations on the numbers of them?
It's in the lease.
Yes.
So the lease has the description of what's, so then that's up to the city to enforce that if we find.
And the association.
And the association does some enforcement as well. Okay, thanks. Other questions for Chief Russ? Thank you. Thanks for being here. Any other comments or discussion? Greg Waters.
I guess as I review this and look at all the factors, common sense tells me that you have to look at it from a business standpoint. I do respect the human factor, but from a financial standpoint, bringing the number of units down, it's just not fiscally responsible to be moving in this direction. So that's where my decision's coming down. But I'm a businessman, so.
Anyone else have thoughts or want to make a motion? Okay.
I would just like to add 2 additional thoughts. I heard someone out in the crowd mention something about the commercial spend. And so I don't know if you had a chance to ask any of the business owners the question, if they had a chance to see the city spend capital funds towards expanding full-time residents or part-year residents, which would you choose? And hands down, they answer, we need full-year customers and full-year labor. And so I super, you know, and we're adding 180, I think, and we got 180 units we kind of just added. And so it gets back down to the financial, there is an impact, I'm certain, with the spend that we have coming from the Part B and moving again down to 17. We'll take a chip out of that, but if you had to split, this is a resource question. The resources towards something on the city side, expending it towards something that gives us full year-round spending capacity is I think in the city's best interest. And then the second topic has to do back in the financials also, is that I've had the great fortune to work with Eric Schreiner, who is the Parks Director, and have learned that although they don't keep tabs on exactly the amount of specific work that goes on in the mobile home park on an hourly rate basis, the amount of tending to the mobile home park is not zero. And so although the revenue that we have all been counting is material, and we definitely have to find a way to ensure that we fill some of the gaps that we would be receiving if we did not fulfill Part B back to its 17 units. But it hasn't been a 100% wash. There is a lot of time. I think Eric would say 50%. About half of the time is mobile home park management, and the other half is doing the the fields. And so it's a cost, taking our small resources. The staff in the city is small, and it's amazing what they can do with such a small staff. And so there is also a resource perspective, that it's a money aspect and this is kind of in the state of transparency, my thoughts, that I've been thinking about. We don't have it really figured out in dollars on a piece of paper, but the amount of tasks between facilities and grounds and the streets department and, so it's both Randy and Eric's team, and I'm sure lots of others. It isn't a complete, all of the money that we've been taking in goes 100% to the Parks Department, because we're reinvesting it back in, actually helping to maintain and manage. So and it gets back down to responsibility of the money, and I just feel that it is, the citizens have said, and I think other aspects of looking at the dollars and cents would suggest that the direction is, in my opinion, would be to discontinue the B-level also. And so with that, I would like to make a motion to City Council Resolution 25-25.
Is it 55? I think it's 25.
Excuse me, 25-55, directing the action regarding Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park B-level, Lake Mills, Wisconsin, to now therefore be it resolved by the City Council that it's in the best interest of the city, and directing the staff to select item 2 to decommission the Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park B-level as noted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Schmaker and a second by Mr. Waters for Resolution 25-55 with option 2, which is to decommission the B-level. Is there any further discussion? I'm going to add two other thoughts, I guess. One is, I think, it looks like he's already left, but Matt Blessing was commenting earlier during his public comment on the increase in population in the city since the city acquired the mobile home community, and that got me thinking about, it makes me mindful of parkland and the value of parkland to our citizens, and as our city continues to grow, these areas that we already own are very important, and important for all of our citizens to have the opportunity to enjoy. And the other thing, when you talked about, Mary, thinking about things like full-time residents, reflecting on some of the other items that we had on our agenda tonight, what could we do with $1.5 million? Could we invest in front-loading infrastructure on a single-family home development to make it more attractive to draw single-family to our community? I mean, there are other things that we can invest money in that will help our community grow and help achieve our goals that, in my mind would have some return on investment that would be valuable compared to the redeveloping level B. So I'm in support of decommissioning.
I think we need to be careful with our language. I think that unintentionally, we are saying that our residents who own homes or rent are more important. And I get it. I completely get it, why that would be, because they are the taxpayers. And we are using taxpayer money, and we need to be mindful of taxpayers, and we are representatives of taxpayers. And they're human beings. These are human beings who have been spending in a lot of time, maybe more than some of us have been over generations. And yes, I'm speaking from the heart right now. So this is the heart part of me that's making a comment. And maybe it's inappropriate, but I just want to be cautionary about what kind of language we're using when we're talking about how we're designating who these people are. So when we make our decision, knowing that we are making our decision based on the fact that the money that we need as a city is far bigger than what the trailer park could offer, that is how it should be framed. Not, well, citizens are saying that they want this. Don't do that. Because if we do that, then we are creating enemies. And these people, though they may not be full-time citizens, have done some contribution to our city in some form or another. And so whatever decision I make, I am making it not based on the people and putting one over the other. I'm going to be looking at the monetary only because that's where decisions need to lie.
I want to thank you for saying that, Michelle, and I appreciate you always bring your heart to our decisions, and I think it really helps us, make the fullest decisions. And what I really like about what you said in particular is I think this is a place of respect, and we try to be respectful of all viewpoints, of all people that come before us, and I really appreciate how your remarks, emphasized that. So thank you. Thank you for that, and I hope everyone in the audience recognizes that whatever decision, we make tonight, it is not intended to be, disrespectful of any people who are in our community. Any further comments or discussion?
Can you restate it for clarity before we vote?
So we have a motion and a second for adoption of City Council Resolution 25-55, action regarding B level. And the motion is a yes vote or an aye vote would be to decommission the Sandy Beach Mobile Home Park B level, discontinue the seasonal mobile home activities at B level, I'm reading this, and further direct the city staff to explore and report alternative uses for P level, revenue sources to replace lost revenue associated with decommissioning of B level as a seasonal mobile home park, and to include expenditures necessary to complete decommissioning of B level in the city capital budget. So a vote for yes would be voting for that. Any further comments or discussion this evening? Okay, Lisa, would you please call the roll on City Council Resolution 25-55 with option 2?
Mr. Waters.
Aye.
Ms. Curler.
Aye.
Ms. Schmager.
Aye.
Ms. Quidnow.
No.
Mr. Coots.
No.
Motion passed 3-2.
Thank you, everyone. So that's a vote of 3-2, so the motion did pass. So that was our last agenda item, and we are continuing on the record with continuing our meeting, so if we could ask people to go out in the hallway for conversation, I would appreciate it. Give a moment for the room to clear. Thank you, everyone. So that concludes our council business. So we have announcements and recommendations for future agendas. We did have several items that had first or second readings tonight, so those would carry forward. And I think, Drake, you're planning on the budget, introducing the budget at our next meeting?
Correct. So we'll have the initial budget presentation at the September 16th meeting. And as well, I've been working with Mary on an update regarding the strategic plan. that we believe is also ready for the September 16th meeting as well. So we'll have a little bit of a look back and look forward on the September 16th meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Can you take your conversation outside, please?
I really hope that we have a full house for the budget.
Yeah.
In the years that I have been here, is not a single.
That would be great. That would be great. Mary?
Yeah, we also had the Parks Board recommendations that were going to be a follow-up at some future meetings. I don't know if that's the next one.
Yeah, I wonder, do we want to have that as an agenda item, or do we want to maybe discuss it in the
Session.
context of our budget work session and maybe do some prioritizing at that point? Would that
Either
kind of
one.
kill two birds with one stone, I guess, so to speak? But
We certainly can roll it into the budget discussion. It's obviously germane to potential investments.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
I think you were working with Greg on Chapter 594. Is that ready for September 16th?
It is not.
Okay, all right, so that'll be down the road a little bit. Then I wanted to mention, Attorney Drescher sent us all an email with the schedule for performance reviews, and it's a little ways out in the future, but I wanted to just double check. I would tentatively like to schedule a special meeting on October 27th, which is a Monday. It's mentioned in his email, and that would be just for our one-on-one meeting with Drake, or five-on-one, I guess, meeting with Drake at the end of the performance review process. So I'm hoping everyone can do that evening, and maybe I'll have Misty just
What time?
poll everyone.
Sorry.
Well, whatever time, you know.
I think it said 7 p.m.
I think so too. I just wanted to check.
No, I think we were going to try to do it earlier. It'd be a special meeting, so we could do it,
Should be scheduled as.
yeah, I would say as early
not been.
after work as possible for those who are working, just so then Drake doesn't have to stick around till 7. But yeah, I can have Misty just poll everybody for your availability. Any other announcements or recommendations this evening? Okay, then I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.